Fleet Commander Tejo rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the main display screen. The night shift on Border Station Omega-7 was usually quiet. Most days nothing happened except the occasional trade ship or patrol vessel passing through. Tonight felt different. "Commander, we have something strange on the sensors," called Mi-young from her station. She was the best scanner operator on the station, known for catching things others missed. Her voice carried worry that made Tejo pay attention. He walked over to her console, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The station hummed quietly around them, its lights dim for the night cycle. "What do you have?" Mi-young pointed at her screen. A small dot blinked red at the edge of their scanning range. "Unknown vessel, sir. It appeared about 10 minutes ago. Just sitting there, not moving." Tejo frowned. Ships didn't just appear. They came from somewhere and went somewhere else. "Run it through the database. Check all known ship types." "Already did, sir." Mi-young's fingers moved quickly over her controls. No match. The energy signature is completely unknown. The size readings are strange, too. "Strange how?" "Well, sir, the computer says it's about the size of a light cruiser, but the energy output is reading much higher than it should be, like a battleship or bigger." Tejo felt a cold feeling in his stomach. In his 15 years of service, unknown ships usually meant trouble. Pirates, smugglers, or worse. "Any response to standard hailing frequencies?" "Nothing, sir. Complete radio silence." Intelligence Officer Dong-min looked up from his desk across the room. He was a thin man who knew more about alien races than anyone else on the station. "Commander, what's the ship's design? Can we tell what species built it?" Mi-young adjusted her controls. The image on the main screen changed, showing a clearer view of the mysterious vessel. It was sleek and dark with smooth lines that didn't match any known design. Strange lights pulsed along its hull in patterns they had never seen before. Dong-min stood up and walked closer to the screen. His face went pale. "That looks like human construction." "Humans?" Tejo almost laughed. "That's impossible. Human ships are small and simple. They barely have faster-than-light travel." "I know, sir. But look at the hull design. Those weapon ports. It matches human building styles, just much more advanced than anything in our files." Tejo studied the ship again. Humans were a young race that lived far from Empire space. Their technology was primitive compared to the mighty Kethtar Empire. They had only recently developed basic spaceflight. Their ships were tiny things that could barely defend themselves. "When were our files on human technology last updated?" Tejo asked. Dong-min checked his computer. "About 50 years ago, sir. Standard procedure for non-threat species." 50 years. That was a long time, even for a species that developed slowly. But surely humans couldn't have advanced that much in such a short time. It was impossible. "Sir!" Mi-young called out, her voice tight with fear. The ship just vanished. Tejo spun around. The main screen showed empty space where the unknown vessel had been. "Sensor malfunction?" "No, sir, all systems are working perfectly." It just disappeared. Complete stealth, better than anything I've ever seen. The command center fell silent except for the hum of machines. Tejo had seen stealth technology before. The Empire had some of the best in the galaxy. But their stealth ship still showed some trace on sensors. This was different. This was like the ship had never existed. "There," Mi-young pointed at her screen. "It's back." Same position. The ship had reappeared exactly where it had been before. No movement, no change in position. Like it had simply turned invisible for a few minutes. "That's not possible," whispered Dong-min. "No known technology can do that." Tejo's hands felt sweaty. He had commanded this border station for 5 years. He had dealt with pirates, smugglers, and hostile aliens. He had never seen anything like this. "Send a message to Fleet Command. Priority alert. Unknown vessel with advanced capabilities detected at border position 77 Alpha." "Yes, sir," said the communications officer. "And prepare 3 patrol ships for launch. Full weapons and shields." "Sir, should we wait for backup?" asked Mi-young. Tejo thought about it. The smart thing would be to wait. But if this ship was hostile, waiting might give it time to call for help. Better to act while they still had the advantage of numbers. "No, we investigate now. If it's just a lost trader with some new technology, we can handle it. If it's something worse, we need to know." The patrol ships launched from the station's docking bays. Tejo watched them on the screen as they moved toward the unknown vessel. They looked so small compared to the mysterious ship, even though the readings said they were about the same size. Patrol Leader Jae-sung reports ready to intercept, said the communications officer. Tell him to approach slowly. No aggressive moves. We want to talk first. As the patrol ships got closer, the unknown vessel began to move. It turned slowly, gracefully, like it was dancing in space. The movement was too smooth, too perfect. No ship moved like that, sir. Mi Young's voice was barely a whisper. I'm picking up massive energy readings from that ship. It's powering up something big. Weapons? I don't know. The energy type is completely unknown, but the power levels are enormous. Tae-ho grabbed the communications microphone. Patrol Leader Jae-sung pulled back immediately. Do not approach the target vessel. Understood, Control, moving to safe distance. But as the patrol ships began to retreat, the unknown vessel moved again. This time it accelerated faster than anything Tae-ho had ever seen. One moment it was far away, the next it was right beside the patrol ships. How did it move that fast? Dongmin asked, his voice shaking. I don't know, Tae-ho replied. I don't know anything about this ship. The communication system crackled to life. A voice came through, speaking perfect Kethtar language with a strange accent. Kethtar Border Station Omega-7. This is Captain Hyun Woo of the UES Prometheus. We mean no harm. We are simply passing through your space. Tae-ho grabbed the microphone with trembling hands. Unknown vessel Prometheus, you are in Kethtar Empire territory without permission. State your purpose and destination. We are conducting routine patrol operations in neutral space, Commander. We will be gone shortly. Neutral space. This is Empire territory. There was a pause. When the human captain spoke again, his voice was different, colder. Commander, I suggest you check your star charts. This region was declared neutral space 73 years ago by the Galactic Treaty Council. The Empire agreed to those terms. Tae-ho looked at Dongmin, who was frantically checking his files. The intelligence officer's face went white. Sir, Dongmin whispered. He's right. This sector was made neutral space after the Corvan War, but we've been treating it as Empire territory for decades. The cold feeling in Tae-ho's stomach grew worse. If the humans were right about the territory, what else might they be right about? Captain Soo-jin stood on the bridge of the Empire battlecruiser Keth Moran and watched the tactical display with growing concern. 6 warships under her command were approaching the human vessel, but something felt wrong about this whole situation. Distance to target, she asked. 50,000 kilometers in closing, Captain, replied her navigation officer Jae-wook. He was young but skilled, known for his precise work with long-range communications. Any response to our hailing attempts? Nothing yet, Captain. I've tried every standard frequency and protocol. The ship seems to be ignoring us. Soo-jin had commanded warships for 12 years. She had fought pirates, rebels, and hostile aliens, but she had never encountered a ship that simply ignored Empire military vessels. It was either very confident or very stupid. Try the emergency channels, she ordered. As Jae-wook worked at his station, Soo-jin studied the human ship on the main screen. The UES Prometheus was unlike anything in their military database. Its hull was smooth and dark, with strange markings that seemed to shift and change in the light. The ship's design was both beautiful and threatening. Captain, called out her weapons officer, I'm reading some very strange energy signatures from that vessel. What kind of strange? Well, ma'am, the power output is massive, much bigger than our readings suggested. And there are energy patterns I've never seen before. It's like they're using completely different technology. Soo-jin frowned. Human technology was supposed to be simple and weak. Their ships were small things with basic weapons and poor shielding. This vessel looked like it could fight an entire Empire squadron. Captain, Jae-wook called out suddenly. We're getting a response. The main screen flickered and changed. A man appeared, sitting in what looked like a command chair. He was clearly human, with dark hair and calm eyes. His uniform was simple but well made. Behind him, Soo-jin could see a bridge that looked more advanced than anything she had ever seen. Kethtar vessels, this is Captain Hyun Woo of the UES Prometheus. You are approaching a human ship in neutral space. Please state your intentions. Soo-jin stepped forward. I am Captain Soo-jin of the Kethtar Imperial Navy. You are in Empire territory without permission. You will submit to inspection and questioning. The human captain smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Captain Soo-jin, with respect, you are mistaken about the territorial boundaries. This region has been neutral space for over 70 years. We have every right to be here. I don't care about old treaties, Soo-jin replied firmly. This is Empire space now. You will comply with our orders or face the consequences. Captain Hyun-woo's expression didn't change. Captain, I strongly advise you to check your historical records. The Galactic Treaty Council has very clear rules about neutral space violations. Are you threatening the Kethtar Empire? Not at all. I'm simply informing you of galactic law. Sujin felt her anger rising. This human was speaking to her like she was a child, like the mighty empire was just another small nation. You have 1 minute to prepare for boarding and inspection. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Captain. Then you will be taken by force. The human captain leaned forward in his chair. His calm expression finally changed, becoming more serious. Captain Sujin, you really don't want to do that. Is that a threat? It's a warning. Your ships are not equipped to handle this situation. Sujin had heard enough. This arrogant human needed to learn respect for Empire power. Weapons officer, fire a warning shot across their bow. Yes, Captain. The Kethmaran's main guns fired a burst of energy toward the human ship. It was a standard warning shot, designed to show serious intent without causing damage. The energy beam should have passed just in front of the Prometheus's hull. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beam simply disappeared. One moment it was racing toward the human ship, the next it was gone. What happened? Sujin demanded. I don't know, Captain, her weapons officer replied, his voice shaking. The shot just vanished, like it hit something and was absorbed. On the screen, Captain Hyun-woo shook his head sadly. That was a mistake, Captain. Suddenly, the human ship moved. It didn't accelerate like a normal vessel. It simply shifted position, appearing several kilometers away in an instant. The movement was so fast and smooth that it seemed impossible. How did they do that? Asked Jae-wook. Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the bridge. The ship's defensive systems had detected incoming fire, but Sujin couldn't see any weapons discharged from the human vessel. Shields at 60%, called out the defensive systems officer. We're under attack. From where? I don't see any weapons fire. Unknown, Captain. Some kind of directed energy weapon, but not like anything we've seen before. The ship shook as more invisible attacks struck their shields. Sujin grabbed her command chair to steady herself. All ships return fire. Target the human vessel. Her squadron opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams, missile salvos, and particle weapons all streaked toward the Prometheus. It should have been enough firepower to destroy a dozen ships, but none of it reached the target. Every shot simply vanished before hitting the human vessel, as if it was protected by some kind of impossible shield. Captain, her weapons officer said, his voice filled with fear. Our weapons aren't working. Nothing is getting through. That's impossible. I know, ma'am, but the readings don't lie. It's like they have a perfect defense system. Meanwhile, the attacks on their own ships continued. Sujin could see her other vessels on the tactical display, their shield strength dropping rapidly under the mysterious assault. One of her escort ships, the Star's Edge, was already down to 20% shields. Captain Hyun-woo, Sujin called out to the human. Stop your attack immediately. The human captain looked genuinely sad. I tried to warn you, Captain, but your ships fired first. We're simply defending ourselves. We barely scratched your shields. Actually, you didn't even reach our shields. But the intent was hostile, and we responded accordingly. Sujin watched in horror as her ships continued to take damage from weapons she couldn't see or understand. This wasn't a fair fight. This was like children with sticks trying to fight a trained warrior. Captain, Jae-wook called out, I'm receiving surrender signals from the Star's Edge and the Void Hunter. Their shields are failing. All ships, cease fire. Sujin ordered. Repeat, all ships cease fire immediately. The mysterious attack stopped as soon as her ship stopped shooting. The human vessel returned to its original position, moving with that same impossible grace. Captain Sujin, said Captain Hyun-woo, I hope you understand now that we're not your enemy, but we're also not helpless victims you can push around. Sujin's mind was reeling. Her 6 warships had been defeated without the human vessel even seeming to try. Their weapons were useless, their tactics meaningless. It was like fighting with ancient technology against gods. What are you? She whispered. We're humans, Captain. We're just not the same humans your empire encountered 50 years ago. That's impossible. No species advances that quickly. Captain Hyun-woo smiled again, but this time it was gentler. Captain, there's a lot about the galaxy that your empire doesn't understand. We've been trying to avoid contact because we knew this would be difficult for you to accept. You're saying you've been watching us? We've been watching everyone, Captain. It's our job to maintain peace in this sector of space. Sujin felt like the universe had suddenly become a much larger and more dangerous place. I need to report this to Fleet Command. I understand. But Captain, please tell your superiors that we want peaceful relations. We don't want to fight the Empire. We just want to be left alone to do our work. And if the Empire doesn't agree to leave you alone? The human captain's expression became very serious. Then your Empire will learn that there are forces in this galaxy much more powerful than they realized. Admiral Gite arrived in the system with the pride of the Empire's third battle fleet. 12 heavy cruisers and 4 massive dreadnoughts formed a battle line that had never been defeated. Looking at the tactical display from his flagship's command center, he felt confident that this human problem would be solved quickly. Report on the enemy vessel, he ordered. Science Officer Yunji looked up from her station, her face showing confusion. Sir, the readings are still strange. The ship appears to be the same size as a light cruiser, but energy output suggests something much larger. How much larger? According to my instruments, sir, that single ship is generating more power than our entire fleet combined. Admiral Gite laughed. Your instruments must be wrong. No ship that small could produce that much energy. I've run the diagnostics 3 times, sir. The readings are correct. Tactical Specialist Sung-ho turned from his console. Admiral, I've analyzed the previous engagement with Captain Sujin's squadron. The human ship used unknown defensive technology and weapon systems we can't identify. Unknown doesn't mean superior, Gite replied firmly. They caught our people by surprise. We won't make the same mistake. The Admiral had fought in 7 major battles during his career. He had destroyed pirate fleets and crushed rebellions. His third battle fleet was legendary throughout the Empire. One small human ship, no matter how advanced, couldn't stand against such overwhelming force. Sir, called out the communications officer, the human vessel is hailing us. Put it through. Captain Hyunwoo appeared on the main screen, sitting in the same command chair as before. His expression was calm but sad, like someone watching a child about to make a terrible mistake. Admiral Gite, I presume, the human said. I am Captain Hyunwoo of the UES Prometheus. I understand you've come to resolve the situation with my ship. That's correct, human. You will surrender immediately and submit to Empire authority. I'm afraid I can't do that, Admiral. We're operating in neutral space under galactic law. Gite studied the human captain. He looked so ordinary, so normal. It was hard to believe this man commanded a ship that had defeated 6 Empire vessels. Your vessel attacked Empire ships without provocation. Actually, Admiral, your ships fired first. We simply defended ourselves. I have complete recordings of the engagement if you'd like to review them. I don't care about recordings. You will surrender now or face the consequences. Captain Hyunwoo sighed deeply. Admiral, please reconsider. You have 16 ships and probably about 8,000 crew members. I don't want to be responsible for their deaths. The arrogance was unbelievable. This human was actually threatening the third battle fleet. Are you declaring war on the Kethtar Empire? Not at all. I'm trying to prevent one. Then you will surrender? No, Admiral, I will not. Gite had heard enough. Communications closed the channel. The screen went dark. All ships assume attack formation. Prepare for full-scale assault. His fleet moved into position with practiced precision. The 4 dreadnoughts formed the center of the battle line, their massive hulls bristling with weapons. The heavy cruisers spread out on both flanks, ready to surround and destroy the target. All weapons charged and ready. Sir? Reported Sung-ho. Target acquired and locked, added the weapons officer. Gite looked at the tactical display one more time. 16 Empire warships against 1 human vessel. The odds were completely in their favor. All ships opened fire. The space around the human ship erupted in light and energy. Hundreds of weapons fired simultaneously, creating a storm of destruction that should have vaporized any target. Energy beams, particle cannons, and missile salvos all converged on the Prometheus, but just like before, nothing reached the target. Every shot simply vanished before hitting the human ship, as if it was protected by some kind of impossible barrier. Direct hit, called out the weapons officer, then paused. Wait, no, sir. All shots absorbed or deflected. No damage to target. That's impossible, Gite muttered. No shield system can stop that much firepower. Sir, Yunji called out, I'm detecting massive energy buildup from the human vessel. Power levels are increasing exponentially. Evasive maneuvers, Gite ordered. But before his ships could react, the human vessel opened fire. What happened next would haunt Gite for the rest of his life. The Prometheus didn't use energy beams or missiles. Instead, it seemed to reach out with invisible hands and simply tear his ships apart. The dreadnought Empire's sword was the first to die. One moment it was a mighty warship. The next it was expanding gas and twisted metal. What kind of weapon was that? Someone screamed. Before anyone could answer, 3 more ships exploded. Not from external damage, but from within, as if their own reactors had been turned against them. The heavy cruiser Starpiercer simply came apart, its hull plates separating like someone was taking apart a toy. All ships, evasive action. Gite shouted into his communicator. Scatter formation! But it was too late. The human ship moved through space like a deadly dancer, appearing next to one vessel, destroying it, then instantly moving to the next target. Its speed and agility were beyond anything in Empire experience. Gite watched in horror as ship after ship died under the humans' attack. The weapons the Prometheus used seemed to ignore shields completely and strike directly at weak points in hull design. It was like the humans knew exactly how Empire ships were built and exactly how to destroy them. The Void Storm is gone, sir, reported Shung Ho, his voice shaking. Direct hit to the reactor core. The galaxy's pride is breaking apart, added another officer. Sir, we've lost 8 ships in the last minute, Yunji said, her voice barely a whisper. Gite couldn't believe what he was seeing. His proud fleet, the most powerful force in this sector of space, was being destroyed by a single enemy vessel. It wasn't even a fair fight. It was a massacre. All remaining ships, full retreat, he ordered. Emergency jump to hyperspace. Sir, 3 more ships are gone, reported the tactical officer. The humans are targeting our engines. No one can jump away. Now Gite understood the true horror of their situation. The humans weren't just destroying his fleet. They were being selective about it, making sure no one could escape to warn the Empire about what they had seen. In less than 17 seconds, 15 of his 16 ships were gone. Only his flagship remained, drifting in space surrounded by the wreckage of the most powerful fleet the Empire had ever assembled. The communication system activated without anyone touching the controls. Captain Hyunwoo's face appeared on the screen again. He looked genuinely sorry. Admiral Gite, I tried to warn you. I really did. Gite's voice came out as a croak. What are you? We're humans, Admiral. We're just not the humans your Empire thinks we are. This is impossible. No species could develop such technology so quickly. You're thinking about time in the wrong way, Admiral. Your Empire has been expanding and conquering for centuries. During that same time, we've been learning and growing. We've made friends with other species, shared knowledge, worked together to solve problems. Our technology didn't develop in isolation. Gite looked around his bridge. His crew sat in stunned silence, staring at the tactical display that showed nothing but debris where their fleet had been. Why did you leave my ship alive? Because someone needs to go back and explain what happened here. Someone needs to tell your Empire that continuing this path will only lead to more death. You expect me to surrender the Empire to you? Captain Hyunwoo shook his head. We don't want to conquer anyone, Admiral. We want to protect the smaller species from being conquered by others. Your Empire has been expanding into neutral space and taking over worlds that should be free. That has to stop. And if we refuse? The human captain was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was very soft. Admiral, what you saw here today was one ship. We have many more. Some of them make the Prometheus look small and weak. If your Empire forces us to act, we will protect the innocent worlds you're threatening. Gite's hands were shaking. How many ships do you have? Enough, Admiral. More than enough. The Admiral looked at his crew one more time, then back at the human captain. I'll deliver your message. Thank you, Admiral. I hope your leaders are wiser than mine were when we first encountered advanced species. The screen went dark, leaving Gite alone with the terrible knowledge of what his Empire was really facing. High Admiral Sang-wook stood at the head of the Emergency War Council table, his face grave as he looked at the assembled military leaders. The capital's largest strategy room had never hosted a meeting this urgent or this frightening. Gentlemen and ladies, he began, we face a crisis unlike anything in Empire history. Admiral Gite, please give your report. Gite rose slowly from his chair. The man who had left the capital 3 days ago with the Empire's finest fleet, now looked aged and broken. His hands trembled as he activated the holographic display. "The third battle fleet is gone," he said quietly. 15 ships destroyed in less than 20 seconds by a single human vessel. Intelligence Chief Hyojin leaned forward. "Admiral, please be more specific. What exactly happened?" "They had weapons we've never seen before. Technology that made our ships look like ancient relics. Our shields were useless. Our weapons couldn't even reach their ship." Strategic Advisor Wu Jin shook his head. "That's impossible. Human technology is primitive. We've studied them for decades." "When was the last time we actually studied them?" asked Gite. The room fell silent. Archive specialist Young Su checked his records quickly. "Our last detailed intelligence report on human capabilities was compiled 53 years ago, sir." 53 years, Gite repeated. "Do you know what they've been doing during those 53 years while we ignored them?" Yijin activated her own display, showing star maps of the region. "Our border scouts report unusual activity in several systems near human space. Energy signatures that don't match any known technology." "What kind of activity?" asked Sang-wook. "Construction, sir. Massive construction projects. We assumed they were building space stations or mining platforms. Now I'm not so sure." Young-Soo had been frantically searching through old files during the conversation. "Hi, Admiral, I found something disturbing. Over the past 50 years, we've lost contact with 17 scout ships that were operating near human space." "Lost how?" "They simply disappeared, sir. We assumed they had mechanical failures or were destroyed by pirates. But now we know the humans were protecting their territory," finished Gite. "They've been watching us for decades, learning about our ships and our tactics." Intelligence Officer So Young spoke up from her position at the communications console. "Sir, I've been analyzing the sensor data from Admiral Gite's engagement. The human ship used gravitational manipulation, matter conversion, and what appears to be controlled antimatter weapons." Wu Jin laughed nervously. "Those technologies are theoretical. No one has actually built working versions. The wreckage of our fleet suggests otherwise," Gite said coldly. Sang-wook studied the tactical displays showing the destroyed fleet. Each ship had been precisely targeted and destroyed with minimal waste of energy. It was the work of someone who understood Empire ship design better than Empire engineers did. "What did this Captain Hyunwoo tell you?" he asked. "He said they don't want to conquer us. They want us to stop expanding into neutral space and threatening smaller species." "And if we refuse?" Gite's voice became very quiet. "He said they have many more ships, some that make his vessel look small and weak." The room erupted in nervous conversation. Military leaders who had spent their careers planning the expansion of the empire were suddenly faced with the possibility that they weren't the strongest force in the galaxy. "How many ships could they have?" asked Heejin. So Young had been working at her console during the discussion. "Sirs, I've been analyzing communication intercepts from the past year. We've detected unusual signals from at least 40 star systems in and around human space. If each system has just one ship like the Prometheus, 40 ships that could each destroy an entire fleet," whispered Wu Jin. "But that's not the worst part," So Young continued. "Some of the energy readings from their home systems are much larger than what we saw from the Prometheus." "Much larger." Young-Soo had pulled up historical records on his display. "Hi, Admiral. I think we need to reconsider our entire understanding of human development. Look at this data." The hologram showed a timeline of human space exploration over the past century. What had seemed like slow primitive expansion suddenly looked different when viewed from a military perspective. "They didn't expand randomly," Young-Soo explained. "Every system they colonized was chosen for strategic value. They built a defensive network that surrounds their core worlds and extends into neutral space." "A defensive network against what?" asked Wu Jin. "Against us," Gite answered. "They've been preparing for this confrontation for decades." Heejin was studying the star charts with new understanding. "If they've been watching us for 50 years, they know our ship designs, our tactics, our weaknesses. They've had time to develop specific countermeasures, while we learned nothing about them," added Sang-wook grimly. The High Admiral walked to the large window overlooking the capital city. Millions of citizens went about their daily lives, unaware that their mighty empire had just discovered it was not the dominant power in the galaxy. "What are our options?" he asked. Wu Jin consulted his strategic planning systems. "We could mobilize the first and second battle fleets. Combined with remaining elements of other fleets, we could assemble nearly 200 ships." "To do what?" Get them all destroyed like the Third Fleet? We could negotiate, suggested Hyejin, from a position of weakness. That's not how the Empire operates. So Young looked up from her console again. Sirs, there's something else. I've been monitoring communications from our border worlds. Several planets near human space are reporting strange ship sightings. Large vessels that appear and disappear without warning. How large? Asked Sang-wook. Some are described as being the size of small moons, sir. The room fell completely silent. Ships the size of moons meant populations in the millions. Weapons that could destroy planets. Technology so advanced it might as well be magic. Gitai broke the silence. The human captain seemed reasonable. He didn't want to fight, but he was absolutely clear about protecting neutral space and smaller species, which means every world we've conquered in the past 50 years, said Woojin, and every world we plan to conquer in the future, added Hyejin. Youngsu was still analyzing historical data. Hi, Admiral, there's a pattern here. Every time we've expanded into a system near human space, we've encountered unexpected resistance. Pirates with advanced weapons, rebel groups with impossible technology, trading disputes that forced us to withdraw. You think the humans have been secretly supporting our enemies? I think they've been quietly protecting smaller species from us for decades. We just never realized it. Sang-wook turned back to face the council. So we have two choices. We can acknowledge human superiority and agree to their demands, or we can fight a war we cannot win. There might be a third option, said Hyejin quietly. We could try to understand how they advanced so quickly. Learn from them instead of fighting them. The Empire doesn't learn from primitives, Woojin protested. The Empire doesn't get its fleets destroyed by primitives either, Gitai shot back. But that just happened. Sang-wook made his decision. I'm calling an emergency session of the Imperial Council. The Emperor needs to know about this immediately. What will you recommend, sir? Asked Hyejin. I'll recommend that we open diplomatic contact with the humans. We need to understand what we're really dealing with before we make any more mistakes. As the military leaders filed out of the room, each was thinking the same thing. The age of empire expansion was over. The question now was whether the empire itself would survive the new reality of galactic politics. Fleet Admiral Jin-ho stood on the observation deck of the human flagship, watching as dozens of vessels emerged from hyperspace around them. Each ship was different in design, but all shared the same elegant, deadly beauty that marked advanced human engineering. Admiral, called communications specialist Hae-won from her station. We're receiving a transmission from the Kethtar Empire. High-priority diplomatic channel. Put it through to the main screen. The holographic display activated, showing a room full of Empire officials. At the center sat an elderly man wearing the ornate robes of high rank. His expression was carefully neutral, but Jin-ho could see the fear in his eyes. I am High Admiral Sang-wook of the Kethtar Imperial Navy, the man said formally. I request immediate diplomatic contact with human leadership regarding recent incidents in neutral space. Jin-ho stepped forward where the Empire officials could see him. I am Fleet Admiral Jin-ho of the United Earth Systems Navy. I understand there was an encounter between our forces and yours. Your ship destroyed 15 Empire vessels, Sang-wook said bluntly. Your ships opened fire on a human vessel in neutral space, Jin-ho replied calmly. Captain Hyunwoo defended himself appropriately. Appropriately? You annihilated an entire fleet. Jin-ho's expression didn't change. High Admiral, your forces fired first. They ignored warnings. They refused to acknowledge galactic law regarding neutral space. What did you expect would happen? Military advisor Kyung-soo leaned over to whisper in Jin-ho's ear. The Admiral nodded and turned back to the screen. High Admiral Sang-wook, I think there are some things you need to understand about the current situation. Captain Hyunwoo, please join us. The screen split to show Captain Hyunwoo on his bridge. The Empire officials stared at him with obvious fear and anger. Gentlemen, Hyunwoo said politely, I tried to avoid this confrontation. Your forces left me no choice. Sang-wook leaned forward. What kind of weapons did you use? Our analysis shows technology that should be impossible. Not impossible, Jin-ho interjected. Just more advanced than what your empire has developed. How is that possible? 50 years ago, human technology was primitive compared to ours. Jinho smiled sadly. 50 years ago, we were still learning. We made contact with several advanced species who taught us that there were better ways to develop technology than through conquest and war. Xenobiologist Daon stepped into view of the communication system. She was a small woman, but her intelligence was legendary throughout human space. Hi, Admiral. May I ask how your empire typically acquires new technology? Sang-wook looked confused by the question. Through research and development, through conquest of species with useful capabilities. And do you share your discoveries with other species? Of course not. That would give away our advantages. Daon nodded. That's where our approaches differ. When we encounter a new species, we look for ways to cooperate and learn from each other. We share our knowledge freely, and in return, we learn things we never could have discovered alone. You're saying other species gave you advanced weapons? We're saying other species taught us new ways of thinking about physics, engineering, and technology, Jinho explained. When you combine the knowledge of dozens of intelligent species, advancement happens much faster than when each species works alone. Strategic Commander Tae-young activated a holographic display showing star charts. Hi, Admiral. Over the past 50 years, humanity has formed alliances with 47 different species. Each partnership has led to new discoveries and capabilities. Sang-wook studied the display with growing alarm. 47 species? That's impossible. There aren't that many intelligent species in this sector. There are more than you realize, Tae-young replied. Many prefer to remain hidden from aggressive expansionist empires, but they're willing to work with species that approach them peacefully. Haewon looked up from her communications console. Admiral, we're receiving confirmations from the defensive network. All monitoring stations are reporting ready status. Monitoring stations? Asked Sang-wook. Jinho nodded to Haewon, who activated a larger display. The hologram showed a three-dimensional map of local space, with dozens of points of light scattered throughout the region. Hi, Admiral. For the past 30 years, humanity has been building a network of defensive platforms throughout neutral space. Each platform is capable of protecting several star systems from hostile forces. Sang-wook's face went pale. How many platforms? Enough to protect every neutral world and every peaceful species in this sector of the galaxy. And if we refuse to acknowledge your authority over neutral space? Jinho's expression became very serious. Hi, Admiral. We don't claim authority over anything. We simply protect those who cannot protect themselves. If your empire continues to threaten peaceful worlds, we will continue to defend them. Captain Hyunwoo spoke up from his screen. The Prometheus is what you might call a patrol ship. It's designed for reconnaissance and light combat. It's not even considered a warship by our standards. Not a warship? Sang-wook whispered. Tae-young activated another display. These are our actual warships, High Admiral. The hologram showed vessels that dwarfed anything in the Empire fleet. Some were sleek and fast, others were massive and heavily armed. All looked far more advanced than anything the Empire had ever seen. How many of these ships do you have? Asked Sang-wook. More than we need to protect neutral space, Jinho answered diplomatically. Da-yoon stepped forward again. Hi, Admiral. I want to be clear about something. Humanity doesn't want to fight the Kethtar Empire. We respect your right to exist and govern your own worlds. But we will not allow you to conquer peaceful species or expand into neutral space. And what if our Emperor refuses these terms? Jinho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was sad but firm. Then your empire will discover that there are consequences for threatening innocent worlds. We've been protecting this sector of space for decades, High Admiral. The only difference now is that you know about it. Kyung-soo consulted his tactical displays. Admiral, the long-range sensors are detecting movement in Empire space. It looks like they're mobilizing additional fleets. How many ships? Asked Jinho. Approximately 200 vessels, sir. Multiple fleet formations converging on the border region. Jinho turned back to the communication screen. Hi, Admiral, I hope your military leaders understand what they're contemplating. 200 ships will not change the outcome of this situation. What would change the outcome? Peaceful negotiation, recognition of neutral space boundaries, withdrawal from worlds that were conquered illegally, cooperation instead of conquest. Sang-Wook looked around at his advisors, then back at the screen. I'll need to consult with the Emperor. Of course. But High Admiral, please understand that our defensive network is now fully active. Any Empire ships that enter neutral space will be turned back. Any Empire forces that threaten peaceful worlds will be stopped. By force? If necessary. We prefer peaceful solutions, but we're prepared for other options. The communication ended, leaving Jin-Ho alone with his staff. He walked back to the observation windows and looked out at the human fleet. Each ship represented years of cooperation with alien species, shared knowledge, and peaceful development. Do you think they'll listen? Asked Haewon. I hope so, Jin-Ho replied, but we need to be ready in case they don't. Tae-Young was already working on contingency plans. Sir, if they bring their full fleet against us, it could get messy. Not because we can't handle them, but because of the loss of life. I know. Send a message to all defensive platforms. Prepare for non-lethal suppression if possible. We're not trying to destroy the Empire, just teach them some boundaries. Da-eun looked thoughtful. Admiral, there might be another way. What? If we showed them what cooperation could accomplish. Instead of just demonstrating our military superiority, we could show them the benefits of peaceful alliance. Jin-Ho considered this. You mean offer them partnership instead of just demanding surrender? Exactly. The Empire has resources and knowledge that could benefit the entire sector, if they could learn to work with other species instead of conquering them. That's assuming they're capable of change, Kyung-Soo pointed out. Everyone is capable of change, Da-eun replied. Even empires. We just need to give them the right motivation. Jin-Ho made his decision. Prepare a formal diplomatic proposal. Offer the Empire a choice. They can continue their current path and face the consequences, or they can join the community of peaceful species and share in the benefits of cooperation. And if they choose war, asked Tae-Young, then we'll protect the innocent and hope the Empire learns quickly.